All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to an interview on Quinn Uncaged. Actually, the first interview that I've ever had on this channel, and I'm really pumped about it. Very, very gracious of you, Bill Geivett, to jump on here. You know what? Why don't you introduce yourself before I miss anything? Because you've done a lot in the game of baseball, and I don't want to miss it.
Well, first of all, I'm number one.
You're number one.
Me?
You were number one.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's like when I used to lead off when I was skinny and used to run around baseball fields. That's awesome.
Well, when it comes to being skinny, then it's two of us.
Long-time baseball guy. Baseball and martial arts were all I ever did. My parents wouldn't let me quarterback and play football like the coaches wanted. But, I went through high school, college, played at Sacramento City College. A lot of baseball people know Jerry Weinstein. I played for him. And then went on to UC Santa Barbara. Was drafted 4 times, ended up signing after my senior year with the Angels. Played in the minor leagues there till they put a screw in my shoulder, broken hamate, and then blew out my knee finally in AA. And so that's enough rehab for me. Went on to coach right away, flew from the Texas League in Midland for the Midland Angels right into Loyola Marymount in LA and started coaching there. We were in the NCAA playoffs 2 years in a row. Then went to Long Beach State for one with kind of the original dirtbag teams back then with Coach Snow. And they started changing the rules and said, I got to get out of here. A lot of people in professional baseball were trying to get me to go back into professional baseball, either manage or scout, manage in the minor leagues or scout to get my career going professionally. And I finally did. And when I did, I took a pay cut. I'm the only man on this planet that took a pay cut to go with the New York Yankees. Okay, leaving Long Beach State and went with the New York Yankees, scouted in Southern California, and then also went out in player development in the summers. When I left the Yankees to go be farm director of the Montreal Expos, at the time Jeter was in A-ball, Posada, Pettit, Rivera were in AA. Bernie was kind of up and down in the big league level, and my boss Bill Livesey really, to me in my mind, really put those teams together. He ran scouting and player development a long time for the boss, and led to all those championships. So those guys were all in the minor leagues when I left. And then I go to Montreal and I called Bill Livesey and said, hey, we got a kid here that's better than anybody we had over there with the Yankees. And he said, who's that? And I said, Vladimir Guerrero. We just brought him from the complex down in Santo Domingo and brought him up into play in the States. And I was there a little over 2 years, and they were starting a team in Tampa Bay. And they said, hey, let's get this guy to come over here and help organize our minor league stuff and our international network. And so I went over there as special assistant to the GM and was there prior to having a team at the big league level. So it was the very formation of the Devil Rays back then. And then the Dodgers made a change. So mid-season of our first season with Tampa Bay, they got me to go over to be assistant GM of the Dodgers. I signed on for 4. I did 2. I could only do 2. I wasn't real happy there. Mr. Lasorda, I love. Vin Scully, Jaime Jarrín, a lot of the guys there, the old Dodger guys I loved, but ended up going and leaving there after 2 to go with the Rockies as director of player personnel. And so when I went there in 2001, we were not in good shape. We tried to sign a couple of pitchers that didn't work out great. And at the same time, that was pre-Humidor. So there were a lot of issues there with pitching. And then we ended up going to the World Series in 2007 and then back to the playoffs in 2009. And then towards the end of that, I was put more in charge of what we were doing with the Major League Club. And then 2014 was my last season. So as we were kind of rebuilding and getting it back into shape, it was one where they didn't want me around or thought that they might be better without me. And at the same time, there were a lot of changes that we need to make that the club was reluctant to make. And so it was kind of mutual, to tell you the truth. But from then on, I wrote a book, which I hope we talk about.
We will be.
Do you want to work in baseball? And that's really, I wrote it because everybody was always asking me my whole career of what should I do to get a job in Major League Baseball and that type of thing. And I was answering the same question all the time. And I used to always threaten to write a book, not knowing I could write or anything. I was just threatening. And but I put a lot of notes down that one day I want to write this, and that's basically what I did. And then from there, I decided that I wanted to do a little bit more with the remaining working years of my career, and so I started an app that maybe we can talk about too. It's a sports social app, and it's really designed by coaches for coaches, but at the same time, it's something that's my passion project to help programs and nonprofits raise money so that it's a social aspect. So we have influencers, hopefully the programs and some coaches as well be influencers, but where the programs can be influencers and make advertising revenue off of that too, so that we help the programs raise funds. And that's really what the whole impetus behind it. So, and then now I'm on this great show as a first guest. I couldn't be more honored.
All right.
Well, yeah, that's a long way to talk about me, but I did it.
Well, I appreciate it. And I got to say, I think that's great that you still sport the Rockies colors as the shirt you're wearing right now. So.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. They need some supporters over there.
Yeah, the company I work for, they have an office in Denver now, and it's like 10 minutes from Coors Field. I'm always begging them to send me out there, but they know I just want to go out there to watch a game. I don't really want to work.
It's a beautiful ballpark.
Yeah.
For sure.
So two things I took from what you just said, and then we're going to get into your book. So first of all, a lot of moving around.
Yes.
And especially people who want to work in baseball, like me, mixed martial arts. I moved to train at other facilities, and of course we traveled around the world to fight, but there's only so many of these ball clubs, whether it's in the farm system or not. So like me, like I'm 38, me moving at 25, 23, a lot easier than me at 38, family, kids. Like, so what was it like moving around all the time? It was just part of the gig, like part of the industry.
Well, I mean, I think you look at it as you're almost like a military family.
Yeah. Fair.
We tend to look at fans like you see, college football. I saw Penn State is going to open, and this Matt Rule guy, his name is mentioned, and he started at Penn State and then went. I can't remember where he went right after that. And then Baylor. Now he's at Nebraska, and he's got kids he was talking about, and he loves raising them in Nebraska.
I just heard that too.
In my mind, he's probably headed to Penn State. So they're moving around. It's the same thing. I mean, people tend to forget that with players. You just kind of turn on the TV. He's playing for the Houston Astros now.
Yeah.
That type of thing. You forget about all the intangibles. Or all the ancillary things that go on and all the people that are affected. I used to have a joke with Paul Egan's, who's the director of team travel with the Rockies, and Jay Alvis, who was our PR guy at the time. We were sitting in Anaheim one night, and we're the same age. And I was looking at them going, hey, remember the days where, and Jay is a big Oakland A's fan like I was back in the day. And you turn on the TV and you go, hey, last night they were in Kansas City and today they're in Oakland, and you're just watching the game. You don't even think about all the people like us that used to have to put things in motion to get this traveling circus from Kansas City to Oakland overnight, and all the uniforms and equipment and all the things that go on there. People don't even think about all that. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to coordinate and a lot to do.
I know just coordinating my own fight week, I was hemming and hawing. I can only imagine sending an entire roster and coaching staff on a complete road trip.
Well, that and all the player moves.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Play and all that, and all the logistics of that, and their families and everything else that goes on.
Yeah. So the other thing that came to mind, and now it's very easy to have revisionist thinking when it comes to the players you mentioned, Jeter, Posada, Rivera, Bernie Williams. And like, I'm a Yankee fan, so I'm going to be biased regardless. But when they were at that level, single A ball, double A ball, did you guys knew that something special was coming up through it?
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We in my report I had to write on Jeter and A-ball. It was would not trade this player at any cost, and so I didn't really word it correctly, but I'm giving you a verbatim.
Yeah.
But, and that was when he was playing for the Tampa Yankees. Mm-hmm. I just really felt like, not that I knew all the leadership stuff and all that type of thing. And you got to remember, he was coming off 58 errors the year before.
Yep.
So, in low A, and now I'm watching him in high A. And, but in terms of having a shortstop that could play that type of defense and at the same time be an offensive threat at the top of the order, you can't find them.
Yeah, especially now.
They're few and far between. And then as his career goes, I mean, I don't think you can respect a player more. This guy's a single guy in New York. I mean, are you kidding me? He's the best player in New York. He's single, and not one scandal, not anything going on. He should be in the Hall of Fame just for that.
Yeah, for real.
Like, who
How do you
cares
stay out
about
of trouble?
stats? Yeah, no, he's phenomenal. But definitely, you can tell. You have to be able to tell if you're really going to build some type of championship team.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what you're going after. And if you look at that, the construction of that, of Bill Livesey getting those guys, they're the toughest things. You got Posada, who's going to be your catcher for a long time. You got Jeter. You got Bernie Williams. I'm going right up the middle of the field, right?
Yep. That's what everyone says.
And then you go on the mound with a left-handed starter and a closer. A number one left-handed starter and a closer. I don't know, a phenomenal closer, the best in the business ever. I mean, I don't even know how you come up with that. It's so difficult just to get players that are of any type of impact at the major league level, let alone right up the middle of your field. And and that's how you build long-term success.
Absolutely. Yep. I remember my dad saying that. Notice how it's right up the middle, Rye? Notice how it's right up the middle? Like, yep. Awesome. All right. So I want to get into your book. Do you want to work in baseball? So I want to say how much I enjoy this book. First of all, I'm a huge baseball fan. As you know, fans know, always even flirted with the idea of trying to get in the game myself. But this book is not only good for those of you trying to get in baseball. I feel like everyone graduating college, getting their bachelor's, whatever, needs to read this book because there's so much in this that goes into pursuit of not just baseball, but any job out there. Even if you're looking for a career change, just how to get your resume down, how to get your experience, how to go through these interviews. Because I work in recruiting and sales, so I know how important an interview is. And I think that this was amazing how you put it together. It sounds like it was by accident, which most of the best things are in life. So tell us about the book a little bit.
Well, the book was really written for the whole change with analytics and statistical analytics and all that. What I found was during the course of my career in Major League Baseball was we were getting a lot of people that didn't really have a qualitative understanding of baseball. They would see some little coaches out there and they would really underestimate the knowledge that they had. And there's reasons for that. But what I wanted to write the book for was for these maybe more academic people, and then also coaches and potential scouts to be able to have an understanding of how I was trained by the best in the business, Bill Livesey. Now, I got to throw Paul Snyder in there, too. I can never mention Bill Livesey without Paul Snyder. Paul Snyder ran the Braves, same way. And so those two, in my mind, that's why I picked the Yankees. I had a number of offers, and I picked the Yankees just because, I wanted to go with Bill Livesey. So I took my pay cut and went there and learned under him. But at the same time, I wrote it in a way that somebody with limited baseball knowledge, but a great mathematical background that is into analytics, and that's kind of how you get in now, that they could really understand that there are qualitative process to this that you need to understand. And if you can marry the qualitative with the quantitative of today's world, that's really where you're going to be in best position. And so that's what I tried to do. There's plenty of quantitative books out there. There's plenty of theories and stats and whatever, and books written on that. I really wanted to pay homage to Felipe Alou and Tommy Lasorda and Bill Livesey and all the people that prior to statistical analytics really knew what they were doing in a qualitative way. And so that's really why I wrote the book, plus to help anybody, whether you're a coach, a potential scout, or, some math guru or you work at NASA, to be able to read this book, give you a comprehensive understanding of the qualitative, and then be able to, bring in what you do. Because the perspective, I try to offer a lot of perspectives in there that really give you a farm director's perspective, a general manager's perspective, an ownership perspective.
Yeah, you did a great job at that.
Yeah, that, as soon as you learn that, that's the way you move up.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are going to recognize that you see the same things they do.
Yep.
And have solutions for how to get better. So that's really, in my mind, why I did it. And, I'm a pseudo intellectual anyway. I think I understand some things conceptually. So conceptually and philosophically. So that's what I always had people tell me I should be in my master's courses, that I should be a philosopher. But I don't know. I just kind of brought that into what we were doing. And I've had federal judges tell me it's a business book. It's not a baseball book. It's a business book. And I was really surprised by that. But I try to I try to make it so it's readable. So it's not just, hey, here's me saying what to do. Mm-hmm. No, here's me learning something from somebody, and here's the story behind it to give it credibility and why, all this happened and why I think the way I do is because of this is what's transpired and this is what was told me. I don't know. I like it, but I wrote it.
Oh, no, I like it. I like it a lot. That's why I reached out to you right after I read it. I really, actually, I think I was in the middle of it when I reached out to you. Like, it's so unique where a lot of these other books, like where they go, like the athlete trying to push into the analytics. Yours is almost in reverse where it's like bringing it down and really marrying it. And that's where I enjoyed it. Cause I understand, I respect the analytics and I understand what they are. I'm not a mathematician. And then of course I'm an athlete. So I really enjoyed the combination of the two. I think you did a fantastic job, and anyone out there who wants to get into baseball or just wants to pick up a good book, definitely do it. Do you want to work in baseball? All right. So let's have a little fun here. And I appreciate you sent me those important dates of the offseason for MLB. The first one being 5 days after the World Series. But before we go to that, I'm going to throw a curveball at you here. No problem.
Go ahead. I can hit the curveball.
Yeah. All right, there you go. So our fictional team just missed the playoffs.
So we have a fictional team.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a lot of teams that just missed the playoffs, but here I was just going to say, so think Marlins or Mets, but honestly, that's way too different fictional teams.
Yeah, I can't get into analyzing.
All right. So, all right, let's just whatever you have your fictional team in your head. Maybe it's a team that we're in the front office with in this. You just missed the playoffs, and now 5 days after the World Series. So what's that, like 6 weeks in between?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
5 weeks.
So what goes on in between those 6 weeks?
Well, you're doing all your plan. First, you're sulking.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to sulk for a while. That's the first stage, right? Where you're sad.
Digest it.
You're gonna be sad for a while and boo-hoo. And then you get back to work as far as what you're going to do. I'd say before we even talk about any type of review, you have to make sure prior to that you've documented what you've done. That's the first point, is that as you go through, let's go back to, say it's just start spring training or start 5 days after the World Series or whatever, that you're documenting all the processes during that time. So now you can really have a review, because that's part of what you're doing in this interim, is that you're creating a review. There's budgets that are typically due at the end of October. Yeah. You're working on it from August, to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. But you have budgets that are due, and you got hiring and firing and all the stuff, but that you would do personnel wise, promotions, all that type of thing is going on. But at the same time, if you haven't documented what you've done, you can sit there during the review and go, okay, we got to make our hitting program better. Okay, well, what were we doing? Is it just that hitting coordinator? It's his fault?
Yep, I know what you're saying.
Typically not. Mm-hmm. Typically not one person's fault. Otherwise, you have a bad organization and a bad setup if you're relying on one person to drive your success or failure. So what I would say is that documentation of all of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis had better be in place. That way, when you get to the review point, you just pull it all up. Okay, here's what we've done. I'll give you a very simple example. In 1995, I'm with the Montreal Expos in the minor leagues. At each level, because we were so concerned of quality of pitch on the mound, which sounds good, we weren't as concerned as time to the plate as an organization, from the big league level all the way down. So what happened was, in the minor leagues, we were either, I want to say at that time, I'm trying to think of how many, there were, of say 30 clubs, we were 28th, 29th, or 30th at each level. So what I did, now that's a review. We take that stat and we look at that and go, okay, well, if we're going to win games and really train our players to be at the major league level, they're going to have to get better at holding runners. So this quality of pitch thing, that philosophy is out right now because we're giving up too many bases, and we're not training our players for the major league level, where the major league levels, the guys are even better at stealing bases. So what we did was, in 1996, instituted, we are going to hold runners better. This is going to be our big thing. And we did. We are first, second, or third now at each level, won Organization of the Year for all our clubs at the minor league level. And basically, there were a lot of other things going on, but I think that was the key to that. Now, that's a very simple stat, ranking yourself against all the other clubs and figuring out you have to do better and what that really meant to. I think we had, I want to say 4, maybe 5 teams in the out of 6 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
At the minor league level and a couple championships. So that in itself helped solve that. And there was a lot more base dealers back then, but even the guys that weren't base dealers were getting us.
Yeah.
That's the problem, just giving up too many bases and getting guys in scoring position. So that's the type of review I'm talking about. Once you've documented everything, now you can get down to the point of what are we going to do for the upcoming season? What are we going to do in terms of our player personnel? Where were we short? Where did we have issues? Where did we have injuries? Where are we light in terms of personnel, where we really felt like we were playing players on our club that really were of detriment to us? And then where are we at with our team environment and all that as well? And where are we at with our staff? There are so many things you can look at that this time in the interim between the end of the season, sulk for a little bit, get back to work. There's not enough time really to get to all the things that you want to do, because remember, now somebody will call and say, hey, we want permission to talk to Ryan Quinn because we want him to be our hitting coach at the big league level. And then now you're losing another guy that you liked. And then now you got to bring in, you got to go start interviewing and going through all that stuff. And people act like, oh, you just hire a guy. Well, that whole interviewing process is not easy either, where you're going through different stages and you have people filling out questionnaires. You got many people to talk to make sure this is the right hire.
They read the book, they'll know.
Yeah, you got a lot of things going on into who gets hired, and it takes a lot of time out of your day. So it's easy to say, hey, I'd go in there and make all these mass changes. Yeah, I'm sure you would. But, do you understand the amount of time now that you're going to be doing? Now, in some places, that's certainly understandable. But there's a lot of work on the back end that comes behind that. So you probably see the fruits of your labor more, not in the first year somebody does that, but in the second.
All right. So now, all right, that was good. I really like the analogy you made with keeping runners on. So now, first important day, it's right after the World Series. These teams, I wrote everything down. So free agency hits, but these teams, the team where the player was the team has a 5-day window to negotiate, try to keep him or try to sign him back. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the player that I'm thinking of right now, it's interesting, is Cody Bellinger, but he opted out. But he made it be known before that he opted out. So can the Yankees talk with him now, or no? They have to wait until after the World Series.
It's been a couple years, but they can. He's saying he's opting out.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's really opted. I'm sure they're in negotiations. They've been in probably negotiations all year. I mean, I don't want to speak for them, but
I know what you're saying.
It's getting to the point. I mean, yeah, these. If you're going to get into minutia like this, as far as whatever, those aren't really the big issues. Whatever they are, the Yankees, I'm sure I don't know. I mean, maybe they don't like them, but I would think they would, and they've had ongoing conversations with their people probably all summer. I don't know who his agent is.
So during that 5 days,
here's what you do. Let's look at it from a 30,000 foot level. I've got typically a budget that I'm going to have to deal with, right? And so now I've got to decide. I know you want to get into your Yankee stuff.
That's fine. This is it. This is the only Yankee
I was there too. I understand how it goes. Okay.
This is the only Yankee question I have.
On Bellinger. But what I would say for the normal baseball person, that's a joke, is what you're trying to do now. You have a projected payroll. And you're projecting it out 3-4 years.
Yep.
Now you've also have projected players that are going to be on your major league club that may be in high A or double A right now. So you're trying to factor in all that. These are the functions that go into decisions on a guy like Bellinger. Who do we have coming, and what's our projected payroll moving out? What's our budget for next year, the year after? What's our projected payroll for the next 3-4 years? And then who are the players in there that are taking up some of that money? and now you've got to try to fit it together. That's the real job of whoever's running that, the president of baseball operations or whatever. You're trying to be able to have impact players at a lower cost that's always great, right? Everybody will agree with that. But then at the same time, what veterans do we need and how much can we afford and what impact can we go on the free agent market and to try to put the best club that we can put together. And there's no club that's perfect.
Yep.
And there's a lot of teams that aren't as, aren't as fortunate to have the money that the Yankees have or the Dodgers have because they're wide open. I mean, for the most part, they're wide open, depending on how much they want to go over the luxury tax. Right. Every player is available to them, so they can go and get them in, at least in terms of salary. So that's the job, though, if you can just sit and look at that. So it's not about, one player in particular. It's about you're forming, okay, what's our budget going to be? How much can we spend at the major league level? And then who do we have coming? And and how is that going to work to what we're going to be putting on the field? Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. And actually, you kind of segued perfectly, and you discussed what happens after the 5th day as well. So that was good. So then let's get into what happens in November. November 18th of this year is qualifying offers need to be made, and explain what the Rule 5 protection is, or the deadline for the Rule 5 protection, because I don't think a lot of players realize. I mean, a lot of fans know about the Rule 5 draft as much as they think they do.
Yeah, the Rule 5 draft is basically when you sign a player. When you sign a player, it's really a 6-year free agent is what they call it. And that's 6 years of playing at the minor league level under your control before they're a free agent. It's really 6.5 years. You got to be over 6 years. But in saying that, after 3 to 4 years, you could also have to put them on the 40-man roster. Okay. So otherwise, if you have control of this player and you keep him on a minor league roster, another club can take him in the Rule 5 draft. Okay. So that's why I was explaining. You have control of him for, say, 6 years. But then if you don't put him on the 40-man roster, the major league roster, even though he might be playing in the minor leagues, if you don't put him on the 40-man roster, another team can take him in the Rule 5 draft.
Okay.
And when they do that, and the names there, I mean, people forget Roberto Clemente was in the Rule 5.
I was going to say, yeah, there was some.
I mean, Lasorda told me that story where he was coaching there, and they were trying to hide him in AAA. They were trying to hide him. I don't know how you hide Roberto Clemente, but there have been a number of really good players taken out of the Rule 5 draft. A lot of guys that that can help be a part of something. A lot of times, you have to hold them all year long on your major league club of 25.
Yeah.
Retain control. If you're going to send him down to the minor leagues, he's offered back to the club that you took him from. Okay. So that's basically how that works. But I mean, I think it's good for the players that aren't put on a roster to go somewhere else. It's kind of difficult in that for a lot of players, they're not ready for the major league level. But if you're at a club that you don't feel like you're competitive to play in the playoffs, it's a good way to go out and get who's available in that type of market.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's kind of fun. So, all right. 3 days after that is November 21st and the non-tender deadline. What is that? Explain that.
Well, you're either tendering a contract to your either arbitration players or you're not. You're just, I mean, they're either getting a contract or they're going to become a free agent. Okay. So, typically those are it's a formality basically where you're sending them a contract.
All right, that's easy.
There's negotiations that happen afterwards, right? If you're an arbitration player, you might even, have to go to court, so to speak.
Yeah.
You're actually
arbitration whenever I hear
going to the house in arbitration and battling it out. That doesn't really, the percentages of that happening are very low. A lot of agents really don't have the background and going to arbitration, don't like doing it with the club.
Yep.
And don't like to be that adversarial while the club has control of the player. And a lot of clubs don't like doing it either. Why do you want to go in and tear down your own player? You drafted him. He's been around. Their families. What do you want? You don't want to go to arbitration.
Yeah, you don't want to. But it's ugly.
I think it is a good setup to give the player some leverage and to be able to look at all the comps out there and to be able to come up with an equitable salary. So
Right.
like, I'm never in a spot where I like to see players taken advantage of. I
Yeah,
think
definitely not.
I think for your long-term availability of players, whether that be in the free agent market or whatever, you just can't get that reputation of you're trying to get over on players.
Absolutely. Yeah, nobody's going to want to go to you.
Yeah, it's never good because your players grow up in an organization that has that reputation, and then
Mm-hmm.
they don't feel like it's home. They just feel like they're in a spot where, they're going to try to get over on me at some point. And so it's never really good. But at the same time, you only have so much money.
Right.
So, any dollar saved there is helpful.
So I love this next part, the winter meetings, December 7th through the 10th. Just give us a general feel. I like, we all see it on MLB Network and everything. Let's talk about the winter meetings. Like, what goes on there for you? When you were with the Rockies, assistant GM, what was going on there? What was your day-to-day that weekend?
Meeting after meeting after meeting. Some of them are like, GMs will all meet and front offices, everybody meets, rule changes, that type of thing. For the most part, I mean, that happens in GM meetings as well. That's probably where it happens, the most. But you'll have some type of meetings like that. You'll meet with all your minor league affiliate front offices and clubs, and those relationships are really important to the health of your major league club, and your players are playing an environment you want. At the same time, you're meeting with agents to talk about signing free agents or that type of thing. You're also talking to other different major league clubs on trades. That's typically, I would say, probably 50-50, either trades or, depending on the club you're with, trades or free agent signings are probably the most part. And you're still interviewing for the last few spots that you probably need to fill in at the minor league level, typically. Major league level, hopefully not. Hopefully you got that done. And all of that. And it's a good time, too, for all your staff around and all that to just talk about where you're at and where you're going as a club. But it's fun. I mean, you sit in a room and you can have, you'll say, hey, to one of your scouts that knows a lot of people, hey, go down there and see if anybody wants Ryan Quinn. It's about time for us to trade him and see if anybody will talk to you.
He's a pain.
Yeah, he's a pain. He's a bad clubhouse guy. That's what we first think. Talented.
Culture cancer.
And but no, it's that type of scenario. So it's all day and night. I mean, you can be meeting all the way up until midnight.
I know that a lot of people, young people getting out of college or, in their early 20s, they look at that as like where they're going to be noticed. But honestly, for me, from what I've seen, it sounds like you probably got a better job, probably got a better chance landing a job on the sales side there or something like that than actual front office.
Well, they used to have the business meetings. I don't know if they still do. I've been out for a couple of years.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up because that sounds interesting.
They used to have, and they would have those either the week before, maybe the week after. They'd have the business meetings, so all the clubs would meet the same kind of way. But yeah, no, it is a place to get. I have a story in my book. It's the very first story about. I would always make sure that even if we had all our spots filled, that if I ran into somebody that hadn't had an interview, that we would interview. And in the book, the first chapter is me and Lasorda, interviewing somebody that was down on the floor that hadn't had an interview yet. And that's the thing for me. That's where I always felt like a lot of these younger people are spending their own money to get here to stay and try to get some type of interview that, let's at least give them experience interviewing. Plus, we know now that person's out there.
Yeah.
So we can gauge, oh, man, if we had a spot, we'd hire this guy or gal. But, right now we don't. But, keep her name down because that's one that we might want to go get at some point.
The best thing I took from your book, delayed is not denied. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, Clint Hurdle used to say that all the time. We're sending players at the end of spring training. Delay is not denial. And for baseball players, I mean, people don't understand being a baseball player is like a punch in the stomach everywhere you go. I mean, you're either not playing or you didn't get drafted at the round you thought because all the scouts were feeding you with this. And, then you don't get the contract you want. And, we tend not to see that when we watch TV as a fan. But there's a lot of disappointment that goes in there, and a lot of, if you want to take it that way, a lot of people turn that into fuel.
Yep.
And driving, there's a lot of careers that have been driven positively because of what they perceive as disappointments. But it really is. I mean, believe me, I've had conversations with people that, or they're being stepped on because they have to hit, in front of this guy, when if he was hitting behind him, he'd get more pitches.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the stuff that some of it's made up.
Yeah. They make up their own reality.
Yeah. I mean, there's people with real problems. Don't give me this.
Yeah, I've seen
and then all the personal stuff that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of personal things that are going on with life, and you're trying to have this career at the highest level of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. Those guys that you watch on TV at the major league level, they deserve everything they're getting to me.
Absolutely.
As a player, I broke down, had injuries here and there, and blew out my knee and whatever. To see those players that can battle through, not just physically, but emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And then with all the stuff going on, and some of them have challenges in their background and how they're, brought up, and now they're dealing with all this, and especially a financial windfall that comes their way, and how they manage all that. It's a lot of respect to those guys.
All right. So before we wrap up, tell us about your app, and I'll tell you, I'll vouch for it. I use it for my jiu-jitsu classes. I use it for our podcast, my MMA podcast. Very, very, very useful. Keeps everyone on the same page. But go ahead. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's built to help groups and teams connect. The one thing about it is, if you want to look at it like a chat app, like kind of like a GroupMe or WhatsApp, if you've been on those, is we've integrated a calendar so that you can schedule and you put your events on there. Also, those events are searchable. So if you have a camp or a clinic or something like that, and somebody says, hey, I want to look in Miami to see if there's a camp going on in MMA or catching,
mm-hmm.
then you can find it. But it's really built to really engage your people more. You go on Facebook and all that, and everybody seems to be getting off Facebook, but like X, and you do that. And we have a news feed as well. So your followers will see your post. We're trying to keep it almost more private, more secure. So like if I go on the Fight Court podcast and click the fans, I can't see who's following it.
Right.
The only time somebody even knows you're on there is when you're in a private group. They can see the members in a private group, or when you comment on a post.
Yep.
Or you post something from yourself. That's the only time. We've really tried. If you like something, people can't see that you liked it. They just see the number of likes.
Yep.
Different things like that. Trying to bring a little bit more privacy to social media, but in a way that you can promote your products and what in your events. So if I'm a sports team and I put my team on there, I can communicate with my team privately, but also have a public persona so that the parents and grandparents and friends can follow, see all of our posts, but they're not involved with the private chats or private events. So when you put practice on the calendar, that doesn't go to all your fans. That only goes to the people in the private group, which could be your players or staff. Yeah. So that's what we've done. And we've got a number of other things coming where, you can build out a player profile now if you're into college recruiting and whatever. We just, allow that. And it's pretty cool where coaches can see where you're playing and what you're doing. And it's so the coaches they can give their players something where they can get on that they're involved with as well. And then I have patents on a retail portal for e-commerce and social media. So you'll be seeing that come out soon. I got patents issued in the U.S. and in Australia. It seems like Canada's not helping. I think Trump's ruffled some feathers up there. Yeah. What it sounds like. Yep. That's what our lawyers telling me. But no, really cool. The teams that are on it love it. That's what I like. And we're just in the process of getting some more teams on, and we're going to be doing a bunch of advertising as well.
Well, the name of the app is IMATEAM. You're going to see it in the description of this video. So please check it out, and you'll see it all over my social media. It's already there. It's very useful. Bill, any closing comments before we go?
No, not at all. Just a thanks for being
Thank
on
you.
here and being the first guest when you're like Joe Rogan. Okay. All right, perfect. And then no, I'm just glad that UFC stuff wasn't around when I was in martial arts, because worried
I
about
wish it
blowing
wasn't.
out my knee. They would have torn my knee off.
Yeah, I sometimes I'm like, man, maybe MMA wasn't the best route, but it all worked out for me. So,
All right.
all right, Bill. Thank you so much.
Not at all, Ryan. Thank you.